I'd love to go to the meetings at Gustavo's house. I can go with you. Gustavo hugged her from behind. Of course you can. You'll be very welcome. You have mediumship, and by studying it and educating yourself, you'll make great progress. She was astonished. I have mediumship. It can't be like that. I didn't think only special people had this gift. Gustavo Rio, we are all special, and we all have mediumship. What varies is each person's degree of sensitivity. Some are more sensitive, others less so, and the more we use the sensitivity, the more we strengthen it, and we can take great advantage of it for our own benefit. I want to learn. I want to change my conditioning. I'm tired of living by appearances. I see what happened to Isarinya. She was always linked to social conditioning, and now she's gone. And ever since I heard her name on the news, a little pain in my chest has been bothering me. I feel she's not well. You feel it, Mom. I feel it. Leocadia made the others sit down. She sighed and said, well, Isarinya always liked Ontereros. Oh, we always knew that, Maria Helena commented. She was always close to Macumba, but she abused it. I heard things from her mouth. That even God would doubt when a new lady appeared in society who was capable of overshadowing her shine. Isarinya didn't hesitate. Ava immediately sent a spell, and it worked. People got sick, disappeared, very strange things happened. At some point, she will have to look back and review these events. Gustavo intervened. That's why I asked us to pray for her and for Heitor. No, I don't want to be impressed, but I don't think they will be okay. Do you think they already know their real condition? Do you think they already know they are in another dimension? Aloy asked with interest. No, dear. Usually, in tragic deaths, either the spirit is immediately sent to a first aid post near the terrestrial orb or is left unconscious and left somewhere. The location of the threshold will depend greatly on how spirit are awakened. From what I know, they want to help Heitor. As for Isarinya, I don't know. That's why I asked us to pray. They will really need our positive vibes. Heitor's relatives were notified, but they didn't attend the wake, nor did they bother to bury the body in the family cemetery. After he left home, he made a point of no longer having contact with his father or brother now that he was dead. They had no interest in doing anything for him. For this reason, Mario took all the necessary steps and held a simple funeral, burying Heitor's body in the São João Batista Cemetery, where the Brandeo family owns a mausoleum. The company paid all the expenses and also terminated Heitor's contract as if he had been fired without just cause, that is, with all the rights under the law. Mario asked Mariano at the company headquarters in Belo Horizonte to take care of everything and send a check to the family of the deceased. Heitor will appear on the television news and on the front pages of the country's main newspapers on the day of the tragedy, shortly after. Her name was forgotten, like that of many other anonymous people who had their lives cut short that morning in Guanabara Bay. This was not what happened to Isarinya Ferreira Mellon, known nationally. Her name was still in the spotlight for many days. Her wake was headline news on television, and the burial was highly contested. The entire elite of Brazilian society was there on the first day of the year, wearing expensive black clothes and imported sunglasses. Their faces were contorted, feigning, in most cases, deep pain. A month after the tragedy, Isarinya's name also stopped appearing in newspapers, magazines, and television stations. Now the country was preparing for a politically turbulent year, when, for the first time in almost 30 years, Brazilians would finally elect their president by direct popular vote. Ruben and Aloy were married right after Carnival. A week later, the day arrived for Mario and Clarice to be united in marriage. Gustavo offered his house in Gavia for the ceremony, but Leocadia insisted that the couple marry in Jardins de your mansion. Mina, one of Clarice's godmothers, was finishing the finishing touches with Maria Helena. I'm so happy Perval has given me so much joy. You're a lucky woman. He loves you. Look, I've known you for years, since you were a little girl, and I've never seen you so devoted and in love. You have firepower. Mina laughed casually as she tried to put on a beautiful diamond earring that Perval had given her that week. Maria Helena, you know I was a little upset about Heitor's death, but afterwards I felt such relief. I don't know what my life would be like if he were alive. I think differently. How come Maria Helena had a serious expression as she finished putting on her makeup? She said if she had to resolve any issue with him, she would prefer him to be alive. At least I would know where he is. I could have safe means of defending myself, but dead. And if he is loose out there, how will you deal with the situation? Myrna knocked on the wood 3 times. Turn that mouth away. I actually have nothing to resolve with him. I mean, we broke up. The atmosphere was hostile, but he even had a girlfriend when we last saw each other. Why would he come after me? I don't know. Did you talk after you left his apartment? God forbid, that was impossible. You even thought Heitor was involved with some very vulgar spirits. There was no atmosphere for conversation. He didn't look for me anymore, especially after the incident at the office. I found out, thankfully, that he was with Gustavo. I didn't need to see this scandal, but I was intrigued by one thing. Myrna finished fixing her hair and put a drop of perfume on each wrist. Why did Heitor attack her so vehemently? Why did he call her a whore? What did he find out that left him so beside himself? According to what Eloy and Clarissa told me, Myrna felt the blood drain from her face. She was terrified, just imagining that someone from her new social circle would discover her dirty past, could put an end to her new friendships, her work, and worst of all, it could tear away the man she was sincerely beginning to love. No, she couldn't let that happen. She wouldn't lose everything because of a past mistake. Although she continued attending the sessions with Admo and the spiritual meetings at Gustavo's house, she felt guilty and dirty for what she had subjected herself to years ago. The only one who discovered the truth was Heitor, but thank God he was dead. Myrna felt protected. She remembered Freitas, the doorman, but he was so distant from her life that he wasn't a threat. Maria Helena noticed that Myrna was standing still, looking at an undefined point in the room. She called a few times until she answered, "Babu, that's it." She left orbit where she had been all this time. She wasn't thinking about life. What was it that she asked? Leocadia, at that moment, entered the room out of breath. "We're very late. Guests are arriving. Let's go, girls. The brides are ready." "We're going, Mom. 5 more minutes, and we'll be ready." She moaned and exhaled deeply as a form of gratitude. Leocadia had saved her from a conversation she didn't want to have at that moment. She pretended being calm and tranquil. However, a gigantic wave of stillness vibrated within her. Fear and guilt overwhelmed her, creating holes in her aura. Only the most sensitive would be able to perceive Mina's true state. Most people would think she was a little beaten. Nothing more. They finished getting ready and left the room. Sitting on the bed was a black figure of a man, his eyes bulging and red with hatred. Thick drool ran down the corner of his lips. He laughed nonstop, as if he had found a treasure. "You made things easier, and I found you, Vulgar. I was after you and couldn't find you. Now your guilt feeds me, and I will take revenge on everyone, starting with you." It was the Hector spirit, maddened by himself, laughing like a madman, ready to disturb and drain Mina's energy. Chapter 27. As soon as Heitor and Isarinia lost their senses, their spirits were ripped away and thrown into the threshold for days. Both remained unconscious and unmolested by anyone due to vibrations coming from the prayers made by Gustavo and the others. When they learned of their deaths, about 20 days later, the two woke up. Heitor suffered a sharp pain in his head and felt blood running down his forehead. Isarinia had suffocated and felt her clothes torn and wet. Both retained the last impressions recorded at the time of death. Isarinia could barely see in front of her and dragged herself in that dark and gloomy place. She began to shiver with cold. She didn't feel a strong hand touch her arm. She was hoarse and couldn't scream, and she was too weak to show any other reaction. "It's me. Heitor, are you okay?" "Oh, it's you. Thank God. Where are we?" "I have no idea. We were on the boat. We heard screams. I think we escaped from something worse. Could it be that we were rescued? I don't know what this place is. Let's walk a little and try to get information. You're bleeding. You need urgent help. You can't stay like this. Leave it alone. My head hurts. I notice that your throat is swollen. It feels like I swallowed a barrel of water. Sometimes I think I'm going to suffocate, but I managed to get up." Heitor stood up and extended his hand to Icenia. He put his arm around her waist. Lean on me. Let's look for information. They began walking along a trail as if they were in a semi-arid valley. The smell sometimes became very sour, and a few times they had to stop walking. They were very tired. After a few hours, they saw a woman with greasy hair and ragged clothes. Icenia jumped and asked how I can get to Barra de Tijuca. The woman laughed, revealing the few dark teeth in her mouth. Barra, the lady wants to go to Barra. Luckily, I don't have a driver today. Urine got irritated. I'm being polite and asking for information. Do you happen to know who you're talking to? I have no idea. Because I am Icenia Ferreira Milan, the most sought-after socialite in Rio de Janeiro and perhaps in all Brazil. The woman burst out laughing again and swore, then said, I'm not enough for your social position here. That doesn't exist. I don't think you still don't know what happened to you and what happened to me. Before the woman responded, a man almost 2 meters tall, wearing a black cape and something that looked like a helmet adorned with 2 horns, appeared riding an elegant horse. He was dressed like a Viking, with a shield and spear. His spear seemed to make the ground tremble. Icenia, upon seeing him, grabbed Heitor. The knight shouted, I'm looking for you. Icenia, I've been with your Fisha for 20 days. I knew you'd be around here. You have to come with me. The boss wants to see you. The woman ran off. Heitor froze, and Icenia made a haughty gesture. Boss, who's your boss? I'm not going anywhere. The man laughed so hard that Zurin felt his whole body vibrate. He helped a lot, and it's time to settle the score. You're our employee now. You'll have to stay with us. He grabbed a device that looked like a calculator, fiddled around here, and finally concluded that she's 47 years, 8 months, and 12 days old. After this deadline, she'll be free. What a stupid idea is this? What's this employee business? You'll have to follow me, whether you like it or not. Heitor stood in front of Icenia. You're not going to hurt this lady. This is Mrs. Icenia. Mil Caliro cut him off. Shut up. Don't get involved in other people's business, you idiot. If you meddle, come with us. Do you want to be our employee too? The man spoke with such anger that Heitor crouched in the corner, pushed Icenia, and tremblingly replied, Do what you want. I have no ties to this woman. Icenia, I'm angry, you bastard. You'll pay me when you get home. I'll finish you off. Rio de Janeiro will know how to treat you after what? I'll tell you about yourself before Heitor could answer. The gentleman ordered. Now get on the horse and let's go. The chief is waiting for us. Icenia stood still, as if she knew that woman. The knight read her mind and replied, That's right, I am. Didn't I say some time ago that you would work hard? Well, your time has come. Even remembering the night at Father Maynard's yard and feeling fear almost paralyze him, he shouted angrily, I'm not going up, I'm a lady. The knight didn't wait any longer. Behind his cape, he took out a net like the one used by fishermen and threw it over Icenia. She struggled, however. The more she moved, the more she became trapped in the net. She screamed in rage. The knight tied a knot in the net, tied it to one of the horse's saddles, and left, dragging Icenia across the ground. Hector was appalled. He watched her departure. She struggled and howled in pain as her body rubbed against the hard ground. Hector could smell the smell of burning skin, a horror beyond measure. Icenia cried, screamed in pain, and begged the man to stop. But in little by little her screams faded away, and both she and the knight disappeared into the dark valley. Hector was scared. That scene had shocked him so much, and his body felt so tired that he soon fell asleep. He woke up 3 days later and looked at his sides and couldn't believe it. He was in a bed. He looked to the side and saw a small dresser on top of it. A jug of water and a glass were in front of the bed. A wardrobe with 2 doors. The room was bright and clean. ASP covered the window and didn't let the rays of light penetrate the room. A small green light illuminated the room. He ran his hand over his face. There was no more blood. Little by little he got up and looked at his image in the mirror behind the door. He was wearing light blue pajamas and looked good. Before any questions came to his mind, the door opened. How are you, Heitor? Who are you? I'm Denise. The nurse liked the room. I loved it. Wow, I had such a strange dream. In fact, I was in the boat capsized. Then I saw myself with a lady I met on the boat. We were in a horrible place. When we're in this dimension, dreams seem real. We can even feel them. What hospital is this? One of the emergency rooms linked to the city of Nasolar. Have you heard of it? Heitor ran his hand over his chin. I don't think it's in Rio de Janeiro. Well, to tell the truth, it's above Rio. It's as if it were Rio de Janeiro, but in another dimension. You understand more or less well. Valdo will be arriving soon. He was late because there was a serious accident. He had to help many victims. Who is Valdo, our boss? He supervises this area. Oh, I know. If you want, you can take a shower. Denise pointed to the bathroom door at the back of the hallway. I'd like to have some. I'm hungry. Good sign. I'll get you a snack. Make yourself at home. Denise left, and Heitor was overcome with curiosity. What a nice, well-organized hospital. You'll see I'm here. Thanks. Isorinia. I didn't have health insurance. I could never afford a private hospital. He went to the bathroom and took a comforting shower. Upon returning to the room, he ran into another patient. And then it's okay, said the other. Everything, replied Heitor. I don't know. I think he died yesterday of what? Huh. I don't understand your question. Oh, you're still raw. I hope you don't give me any trouble. I like to sleep at night. No tantrums or fussiness, because I would have tantrums. I'm a real man. The patient gave an ironic laugh. I want to see if he's a man enough to handle the truth. What crazy talk. I don't understand anything he's saying before the patient could answer. Denise appeared. Duval, go back to your room. I've already asked you not to talk to the newly arrived patients. Sorry, now let's go. She grabbed Heitor by the arm. Valdo is in the room. Come on, she led him to the room. When Heitor entered, he was amazed. Valdo appeared to be a little over 20 years old. He looked down at him. He knew him from somewhere. But from where? That could only be a joke. Having a hospital wing supervised by a boy was all he needed. How are you? Heitor rested. I'm better. I wanted to know who admitted me. I don't have many resources, and money here isn't a big deal. If you can't pay, you don't pay. That's the law. How wonderful I'm always here. Even more so now that I was fired. We know about your case. I'd like to sit down. We need to talk. Valdo pointed to a chair for Heitor. He sat down. He's not very young for such an important position. Appearances can be deceiving. I'm older than I look. I know, so let's get to the point. Doctor, okay? Have you ever heard of life after death? Reincarnation? Things like that? Heitor Rem shifted in his chair. But it's a morbid subject to talk about. Don't you think so? Because I don't like anything related to spirituality. I don't see, I don't feel, so I can't believe it. I know, but how would you face death? That's the silliest question, doctor. Then feel free. I don't want to disturb you. I'll come back another day, okay? No. Let's continue the conversation. I'm known to think that when death comes, everything ends. We stop breathing, we stop suffering, and that's it. I don't think so. Then there's no fun in living. Don't you think so? Well, it would be very easy to just sit around, not study, not work, not take care of the body. We would need to cultivate faith. We think about ourselves and about our ethics. We live without any function in the world. Those who tram are the same as those who assel and mat, because when they die, they go to nothing. Is or me again restless? I had never thought about it, but I think it's fanciful to die and go to another plane, although it makes sense. What do you say? It would be very easy to live without doing anything and wait for death. Valdo continued kindly. And if I told you that this is true, that the physical body dies, we continue more alive than ever. Doctor, I'm sorry, but I think that's a joke. The day I die, I promise I'll come running to tell you. Heitor said with disdain. I swear, Heitor's word. Come and tell me everything. How was the passage? How I woke up to the world of lights. I'll see dead friends and relatives again. And I come with all of them so far. Let's put the jokes aside. There's someone you love very much who died. Heitor looked at the ceiling and thought, let me see, my grandmother Ernestina. Look, She died more than 20 years ago, but I remember her face to this day. Valdo signaled to Daniele, and she opened the door. A short lady appeared, with white hair tied in a bun, shiny, silky skin, and a charming smile. She walked up to Heitor and opened her arms. "You're so kind, my dear grandson. I miss you so much." Heitor felt short of breath. He turned pale, his heart beating wildly. "It can't be. This is an optical illusion, a joke in bad taste. Why would we do this to you? You look like my grandmother." But she had a face full of wrinkles. "I've improved a lot since I arrived. I want to keep my white hair because I always liked this color, but I prefer a face without wrinkles and without expression lines." Heitor stood up restlessly. "Let's stop this nonsense. Do you want to tell me where I am? I want to know what happened to me." Ernestina fished for Valdo, took Heitor's hand, but he moved away in fear. She looked at her grandson. "How was your New Year's Eve?" "I spent a fortune. I blew all my money on a cruise." "I know. And how was New Year's Eve? What did you do on the first day of the year?" Heitor bit his lip, rolling his eyes from side to side. He tried to search his memory for the continuity of the whole scene. He only remembered the screams of running, and a strong blow to the head. Ernestina continued. "And after blow to the head, you woke up and saw the fireworks. How was it?" "I can't remember. I try. I can't. It seems like my mind stopped after the blow. I remember a dream with Isarinia. There, a terrible dream. Eat her.